So here's the Wix problem that this code solves. You have a scenario that, actually this is our very real scenario. So triggered by a webhook, does a call to Wix, finds that particular content item, and two trained GPTs give us a first pass at the meta description, the lead, and time to read, and so on. And then we want to write that back into our collection item. But we know that by using Wix Update, if you don't write every single field, it will wipe all the rest of it, which can be very annoying when you have written a long blog post. So what we've built is an HTTP function where you can just push what you need and not worry about it overwriting everything else in the item, and take it from there. So I'm going to just, the next part of the video, explain how we stitched all of this together. It is not particularly hard or complicated. So for those of you who are more technical, you probably don't have to listen to the video. You can just lift the code and implement it. But it's very useful. It's super useful to be able to just know that you have a way of updating the field, just the field you want to update. Now, Wix are working on a patch which will do the same thing, but it's in beta, under constant development, fails half the time. So this works pretty robustly. So feel free to use it. So you do clever scenarios and you want to push the results of those scenarios into a content item. And you get funny things happening, like you push in a date field, but it doesn't recognize it as a date field, and you get this triangle, which when you click on it will convert it to a date field. Or sometimes you get zeros and ones out of what you've done. That is a truthy value, but again, you get the yellow triangle, and if you convert to Boolean, it will work, and you will get the checkbox, like so. And reference fields are a whole law unto themselves. So you may want to categorize your content using an AI, what else, and write a multi-reference field, the results of a multi-reference field. And most importantly, you know that you need to use Wix Update to do that. And at the time of recording, even though Wix have released a way of doing this, if you use Wix Update and you update a single field and don't send everything else with it, that item in the collection will just have that single field. Everything else will be wiped. So you need to send everything to do an update. And in make.com, the out-the-box module will need you to do that. And while that is obviously possible, what we found is you end up with a load of references and scenario iterations, which are kind of frustratingly unnecessary, because you've got the information you want. You just want to update a single field. So in this video, I'll show you how you do that. And the way we've done it, again, showing you the end in mind, is we've created a front-end function which you post your update to. And what that does is merge your updates with the existing item. So you don't have to worry about pushing everything. You can just push a single updated item. So for example, we've got this flow which we've set up, which is initiated by the click of a button by our editors, a couple of trained GPTs, and what they do is return a SEO compliant meta description, an excerpt, and a lead for an article. And all we've done here is send an update with those fields and those fields only. So let me show you that in action. We've got this demo content item, so I'm going to use to show you how to use the function. And we want to just change the title because, I don't know, that's what we want to change. So what we do here is we call the front-end function, we authenticate with the key, and as ever, the key will be changed. And we pass the collection name and the ID of the item we want to change, and we say we want the title to be a brand new title. Now, these collection ID and ID titles I'm just setting them in custom value variables just for this demo because it's easier to do that. And I would suggest if you aren't on the make plan that allows you to write custom variables, go ahead and spend the money and get it. It's a lifesaver. But let's run this. So we run it once. We get a success message. And when we refresh this item, you can see it's behaved as expected. It's left everything else alone. And it's just changed the title to a brand new title. So that's what this function does. This function doesn't allow you to push in image fields. We've got a different function for that. And I'll record that and share that with you guys when I say down the road, not too far down the road. We're just finishing the final tests of what it does. But that is really cool because it allows you to go off to an image generator and push in thumbnails and other images and keep optimizing for click-through. So yeah, that's a really cool function. So how does all of this work? So let's examine the JSON that we push. So collection name is pretty obvious. It's the name of your collection. So this will be if you go into your collection on Wix Studio, it's different on the old Wix, but you can get it. It's this one, example collection. That's the collection name. And then the item is obviously just the item ID. And then obviously the field IDs. So for example, let's say this date field. I have very eloquently called it a date. So the field ID is a date. And if we wanted to update that, we would go in here and add it to the updates. So something like this. And let's say we just wanted to put in when the scenario run happened. So let's imagine that that field is just a record of when the last time it was that you push something into a collection item. And let's leave it like this for now. We run it. So let's say we just wanted to write the date the operation ran into our field called a date. So we put that in the correct JSON format, save it, and let's run that. We get a success message. And if we go and look at our collection and reload it, you can see that the date's been pushed in, but we still have that annoying error. So what we did to get around all of this, and I'll show you what we did just in relation to the date field, and it'll be the same for others. In our function, we defined prefixes to handle specific date fields. So if you put date underscore, and this is pretty safe because you can't use underscores in Wix's naming convention, doesn't let you. Date underscore, and you put that, and that's all we're going to change. And we're going to run this again. You'll get your success message. So let's take this Boolean field up here, which is called safe bool example. Copy that and add that to our push. Add that to our push. So for example, we just put in safe bool example 1 without any parentheses. And yeah, sure, you can, write a conversion function in make and turn that into true. But sometimes it's just easier to deal with the ones and the zeros. So this safe bool example 1, and we'll do the same thing. Let's just run this. And if we refresh it, we'll see the one, but with the annoying triangle. However, when we use the function in the right way as it was designed, and add the prefix safe bool underscore in front of it, save that. Now run it. And if we now refresh the item, the annoying triangle should have disappeared and should be a checkbox, which is correct. That's exactly what we want. Now the final part of this, before explaining the functions, is updating a multi-reference field. And those can be tricky. So if we go into the function, and now if you add the IDs for a multi-reference field like this, which is this top one, which doesn't have any values in at the moment, we run this, I'm expecting nothing to happen because multi-reference fields, as I said, are tricky in Wix, even with Wix data. So, yeah, as you can see, nothing. And with this function, it's the last unique prefix, so you put in refs and underscore. So refs underscore multi-reference. Leave everything else the same. Save that. Run this. and then go in here. Let's refresh this. I'm expecting this multi-reference to be populated. Yeah, and the multi-reference now has the 3 items that we pushed in. So you can use this function to update any single field which is not of an image type or a rich content type from any function or scenario that you've run in Make. And it just makes life a lot easier. You don't have to worry about the weirdness of Wix Update where it wipes everything that you haven't given it. So if you pass a single field, it'll wipe everything else. So let me show you very quickly how this works. We use HTTP functions. So again, this is Wix Studio. So you go into code, HTTP functions, and this is where you will paste the code that we've shared at the bottom of this video from GitHub. And what it does is post update item field, which is the reference that you need to put after this. So digitizing events underscore function, update item field. And whatever you call this in your environment is what you will need to post to. And obviously the front end will be, the first part will be whatever your live website is. And I believe this works on sites where you don't have a custom domain yet. And then you need to authenticate. Type in auth and the value of your authentication. And again, we're going to change this after this show and tell. And that authentication secret is stored in the secrets manager at the Wix backend. So let me show you how to do that. Go in here, add a secret. Let's just call it my secret. Give it a value. I tend to use a hash generator on Notepad++. Just put it in. Add that secret. My secret is how you reference the secret in the code. And again, we'll document all of this. So when you go in here, make connector, this part here will become, well, not that, it'll become my secret. So it'll become my underscore. And what you would need to put into this value here in order to call it. So if we save that, we've kind of done it. And we've made this my secret. You need to publish, otherwise this isn't going to be, it'll work. It'll give us a success. So this last step is how I would set it up in your domain. Make sure you change that secret key in your Wix backend. Make sure you change the ID of it to whatever you want. And go from there. So let me explain what's going on. This is just copied from Wix documentation. It just checks if you're authorized to use the function, so if the key is correct and so on, stopping any erroneous requests. And then what this function does is it looks for those prefixes and then manipulates the values into the right format. Refs, date, safe Boolean. So if you push true 1 or 1 in quotes as a string, all of those will resolve to true. And Here's the magic. What it does is merge the existing item with the clean items which you want to update, and then pushes the Wix update. And multi-references are handled in a slightly different way, because Wix update doesn't actually update any multi-reference fields. It just silently fails, and you're scratching your head wondering what's going on. For that, we need Wix data replace references, and then that's where all that magic happens. At the end of it all, you have a really simple function, in a way, to update a single item field. And that's where I'm going to stop the recording, because the rest will be, for you guys, a copy and paste job. So copy and paste what we've given you in GitHub. So all of this function, which checks the headers, so you can actually use this for other functions that you create at the front end, and call it from the end of your make scenarios. It's been super handy not having to worry about where do I get all this other information, so that I don't overwrite stuff, especially when you have collections with multi-reference fields, because that can get super tedious and annoying. So I hope this is useful for you guys. Comments as usual below. While this demo has been showing you how to set this up using make.com, in fact, this function will take calls from any automation platform you've chosen to use, as long as that automation platform allows you to make HTTP requests. The setup would be entirely similar. So that would include things like n8n and Zapier, if you choose to use those. Thank you for watching, and thank you for those of you who have subscribed. I really appreciate it. Take care. Enjoy your day.